folks, my ask of you, we do this for free. Nobody had to pay for this. All you had to do is enter, register so that we can send you the link and you're here. Please share this. So every week it's a new topic. Every week it's something great, something that can change people's lives. So please, you owe it to your family, your friends, your coworkers, all the people you care about. Share this with them. Tell them to join on next Wednesdays, or, just have, and even if they can't make it at 1 p.m. I know a lot of people always say, oh, I can't make it at 1 p.m. Well, by now, most of you have figured out if you can't make it, as long as you register, we send the recording to you. So that's what the Wealth Webinar Series is. It's not going to slow down. It's only going to get faster. And we got lots of new things, from webinars to quick start guides to books. I just created a magazine. So the magazine's not going to be widely distributed, but you guys will probably have the option to get the magazine. It's pretty cool. We're just putting the final wrap on it, and that'll be done. And today, without wasting any more time, I want to basically introduce today's guest. So Jerry is the one that introduced this to me, that brought this opportunity to me. And he said, hey, listen, if you got 180 people that you think could use $750 and want to earn $750, and I instantly said, you know what? I got like not just 180, I got like a couple thousand, but I think out of that couple thousand, maybe 180 of them would be open for this opportunity. So Jerry, could you do a quick intro of yourself and kind of what your business does? And then I'll switch over to you, Rob. We'll do a quick intro for what you do, because you're an integral part of this. And Rob's here because when Jerry does his talk, if you don't qualify on one of the levels that Jerry talks about, Rob can help you get there. So Jerry, take it from there.
All right. First of all, thanks, Chris. I appreciate your enthusiasm and passion. And I appreciate all of you joining today. Your time is definitely valuable. So I'm excited about the opportunity to present our option and our opportunity to you. We're here to help people, and we're excited about that. I wake up every day and I'm grateful for that opportunity to help people. So really quickly, I'm going to give you a quick overview, and then Rob, he's going to do an introduction, and then I'll be able to go into more depth about the program. But I want you to understand this program, there's no cost to join. Okay, there's no hidden fees, no gotcha fees, or we forgot to tell you. There's no upsells or things of that nature. It's completely free for you to join this program. It does take about 6 to 8 hours of your personal time to initially get the program started. And then it's only about 30 minutes, maybe an hour at the most a month from there. So this isn't designed to be invasive into your personal life. You'll see as I go along that it's very automated. As Chris mentioned, sometimes when people initially hear that, they say, oh my gosh, this sounds too good to be true. But once I explain what you're doing, you're providing a valuable service, people get it and they love it. So that's been predominantly the experience that I've had with this program. Now, once the program gets going, you earn, as Chris mentioned, $750 monthly. So that's $9,000 a year. Now, we know you're not going to buy a Ferrari or retire, but what we found is every little bit of this helps. If you have an option to make some passive income and there's no cost to join, and you can pay down debt, you can use this to invest into products or to your own business or things that you want to. It's a great way to be able to do things to help advance yourself. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to go over all the logistics, how the program works. One of the elements of the program is you do have to have a 620 credit score with Experian specifically only. We only work with Experian. So that's the lead in there for Rob, because that's what Rob's going to help with if you have an issue with that.
Great. Thank you very much, Jerry. And my name is Rob Duncan. I am with CSS Consulting. I hope that you can all hear me. What we do is we go through and we will help you repair, clean up the credit to where you can, not only qualify for this program on Experian, but if you wanted to take that to another level and clean up the credit on TransUnion and Equifax as well, we can do that, and do that in a matter of about 30 to 60 days. And we're pretty efficient what we do. The inquiries, the negative, the derogatory collections, so forth. So especially if you're under 600, just a little bit, we can get that up really quickly, pretty substantially. But I'll go into more details here after Jerry discusses the program more in full, and then we can discuss how we can help you not only in Experian but all across the board with your credit. Thank you, Jerry.
All right. So Chris, are you ready for me to go now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got, we're actually maxed out. So I think we literally hit our cap on Zoom. We can accept 100 people and we're at 100 people. So yeah, I don't think we're going to get any more ready than we are right now. So Jerry, take it away and tell everybody kind of what this opportunity is, kind of give them all that. And then we'll switch over to Rob to talk a little bit about, you know, the people that maybe don't qualify on the Experian credit score. And then from there, let's just open it up to questions, and I'll wrap up with showing, hey, what are some things you can do with 750? I got a neat little thing I want to show everybody that'll take just a few minutes. So the floor is yours.
All right, so I'm going to propose a quick agenda. I'm going to talk a little bit about the qualifications, the background of the company. Why is this program even necessary? Why was it formed? We're going to talk about what you would do as a reseller. And then last, we're going to talk about taxes and your commitments to the program. And then we'll follow it up with what would be the next steps from there for people that have an interest. Okay, so this typically takes 20 to 25 minutes, somewhere in that range. I want to start with the qualifications. Now, there are qualifications for the program, and I'm just going to go over these briefly. You must have a 620 or better credit score, as I mentioned, specifically with Experian. Rob will talk about if you don't have that. Also, Experian has an Experian Boost. That's a free program that they offer. So if you're under that with Experian, I do want to encourage you to go take a look at that as well. Also, Rob's going to give you some great information about the options that are available for you there. Number two, you can't have had a bankruptcy in the last 5 years. Now, if your bankruptcy was discharged later than 5 years, you can still participate in the program. No current tax liens by the IRS. Doesn't mean if you've had one previously, but just no current tax liens. Then you must have filed your 2018 and 19 tax returns. That's another requirement. If you haven't filed those for whatever reason, I do have some options for you on that, where there's all we need is the actual 1040 drafts. That information is verified, but it has to be bundled up and packaged for the banks. And then two other qualifications. Number four would be you must be between the ages of 21 and 69. And then finally, as Chris had mentioned previously, that you don't have a business where you're merchant processing. And so those of you that may be not familiar with the term merchant processing, it's just another term that in the industry that we use for credit card processing. Merchant by definition is a root word is a business or business owner. Processing is the ability to process credit cards. So if you have a core business that you're using right now to process credit cards, that's something that you offer. This probably wouldn't be a good fit for you. Now, just to be clear too, PayPal is not considered a merchant account, because sometimes I do have people that sell things online. They do it through PayPal. That would not be a conflict with our program. Okay. Now, a lot of you are like, well, that's a lot of, financial information. Part of this program, you will be applying for what we call a merchant account, and it's done through a federally insured bank. Now, I know that a lot of you are in real estate. You're used to dealing with banks. If you're used to dealing with the banks, then you know that the banks want to make sure a person is quote unquote financially responsible. So that's why these questions are asked and the qualifications for the questions. Okay. And then later on, if there's additional questions or individual questions about your specific case, because some people don't want to necessarily talk about it, you're more than welcome. I'm going to give you a way to access me, and you can talk to me about that. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the program, why the program was brought about. Now, I have a business partner in this program. His name's Eric. And Eric and I have known each other 20 plus years, and we've actually been in the merchant processing business for the last 18 years, this program. We have now made relationships with over 100 different online trial advertisers. Okay, now that's a big mouthful. So let's unpack a little bit of that. These are companies that advertise only online, and they do it through typically what we call a trial offer. A lot of you probably seen things like try this keto weight loss out for 30 days. If you don't lose weight, then return it and pay shipping and handling. Or try this teeth whitening kit out. If your teeth aren't whiter in 30 days, return it and pay shipping and handling. Those kind of offers are all over the place out there. Now, predominantly the companies we work with all do trial offers. Now, these are good companies. They have good products and good services, but they have an issue. And this is where you would come in, okay? And the issue is they're being limited or capped in their merchant processing space because of the type of transaction. Well, I'm going to dive into a little bit of technicality here because I want you to understand the basis, because if you don't understand this part, a lot of the other things won't make sense. So these companies don't do what the Visa and MasterCards have, categories and subcategories of transactions when you're processing credit cards. These are not considered a traditional transaction. A traditional transaction would be you go into Target, you get a pair of sunglasses, you go to the register, you hand them physically your card or stick the card in the machine. You would receive, they could ID the card, you would receive a receipt on the spot, your product on the spot, and that sales final. Companies like this are typically not limited in their growth or their merchant processing. Now, the companies we work with, they do trial offers. What would happen is you might see an ad on Facebook, it would drive you to a website. You would go to the website. Now, understand when I use examples, we have lots of different products and services we offer, mostly in the health and beauty industry, okay? And in the wellness areas as well. So they would drive you to a website. Let's say it's a keto weight loss website. You would type in your credit card. It would not be considered what we call a physically in your present. It could be written on a napkin, type it in, the product would be placed, the order would be shipped to you, and then you would have a period of time to which to decide if you want to use that product. So as you can see, those two transactions are completely different transactions. One, from a category standpoint, is called a card present, meaning the credit card is in that person's hand, and one is a card not present. That's just how the terminology of those two transactions. And the other one is considered a product final, and the other one is a trial offer. So what happens is these large companies that we work with, the smallest ones are typically 10 million a year, upwards to $100 million a year. These companies, a lot of them will do 50 million, 60 million. So these aren't small companies, they're large companies, okay? But Visa and MasterCard will come to them and say, hey, in 2019, you processed $50 million of transactions. In 2020, we're going to give you the ability to process $55 million of transactions. So once again, they're limited in their growth. So what we do is we take a person like yourself that's interested in being a certified reseller of the advertiser's product, okay? You become like a little mini me or a mini franchise. And what this does, it allows the advertiser to expand their business with you, typically an additional $200,000 to $400,000 per year. So I want you to understand, you're not doing something for nothing because that doesn't exist, but you're helping these businesses expand. And for that, your business is being compensated, okay? I want to use the example of McDonald's, the corporation of McDonald's. If there were no new franchises added, they would never grow. They would be where they're at, okay? But the corporation of McDonald's expands and grows as additional franchises are brought on board, okay? Just the same example as this. So you would become a little mini-me of these products, okay? And you would be matched with an advertiser. Now, the great thing is the advertiser is going to do all the day-to-day operations and the logistics. And we'll get into that. And you'll see this is a very automated process. So just to recap, your business would help the advertiser's business expand and grow. And for that, your business would be compensated $750 monthly, which is $9,000 a year. Okay. So hopefully everybody kind of gets the gist of why is this important? Why would they need me? Why would anybody pay, allow me to earn a distribution of $750? So now I want to go into, I do want you to know, my business partner and I, like I said, we've done this for 18 years. So this isn't something that we're trying to figure out. We put thousands of people through this program. We've had our bumps with one or two, but there's no issues that haven't been resolved. So we have a great track record with this to help people to grow their businesses and match them up with people that are successful. And that's the key thing here. Now, what would you have to do as a reseller? Now, the Visa and MasterCard industry is regulated. Once again, we're here to help people, not ever hurt them. We have had our program looked at by the top attorneys from Visa and MasterCard to make sure every year we make sure that we're complying within all the laws and the regulations. It's just like the tax codes. You have to keep up with these things to make sure that you're doing things properly. So one of the things that we do is when we're done with this conversation, if the people that have an interest, they'll be sent out a welcome email. That's going to be sent out by my assistant, Zandra. In that welcome email, there are 7 documents that are required for you to return. And I want to shelf that to the end of the conversation so it's fresh on your mind what those documents would be. But once these documents are returned to us, what we do is we would then match you up with one of our 100 advertisers. Now, in those documents, there's a form called the Merchant Requirements and Timelines. It'll be sent as a DocuSign document, and it literally lists the 18 things that you are committing to in this program. And these are all things that will make sure that you're protected, okay? Once again, we're here to help you to make sure you do this and guide you through this program 100%, the way that you need to do it to be successful, okay? Now, what would happen then is once these documents are returned, we would match you up. It typically takes about 5 to 7 business days with an advertiser. The advertiser at that point would reach out to you. They'll introduce themselves. Hi, this is Greenbox TEC, whoever you're matched up with. And they will start to form a LLC for you in whatever state that you reside. Now, remember, there's no cost to do this. So the advertiser is going to pay a company called My LLC. They do like 100,000 corporations a year. So whatever state that you're at, if you're in the state of California, your LLC would be formed in the state of California. If you're in Texas, it would be formed in the state of Texas. Once that LLC is created, then what would happen is you would be sent the EIN, the Articles of Incorporation, and the documents that you need to do the next 2 items, okay? Now, we talked about 6 to 8 hours of setup time. These are the things that I'm talking about as the setup time. Once you do that, get past this part, it's going to be very minimal administrative things. We'll go into that in a minute. So once the corporation is formed, then you would be sent a couple of documents, as I mentioned, the LLC information, and also emails of instructions on opening a UPS box and a business account for your new LLC. This is going to be a sole member LLC, and that'll come into play when we talk about taxes in a little bit. So once you've opened the UPS box in the business bank account, those are the biggest pains in the butt because you physically have to go do that, okay? After that, everything else can be done from your home on your computer as long as you can print and scan and email documents, okay? So let's talk really quickly. What is the UPS box for? That's going to serve as the address, the mailing address for your new LLC, so that you don't have correspondences coming to you. It's going to come to the UPS box. UPS has a forwarding option that will go on to the advertiser, okay? And now, in the business bank account, before you go to the business bank account, before you go to the LLC, you will receive typically an e-check for about $200. This will be money to pre-fund you to open the UPS box and the business bank account. Typically, it's around $100 for each one of those items, depending on where you're at and certain things. So just so you know, you'll be sent money, so you're not coming out of pocket. So these will be pre-funded. You'll also get a call from Louis, who's one of our managers. He has a banking background, and he's going to go over with you how to set up the bank account, the questions typically they're going to be asked, how much volume is your business anticipating, et cetera, so that you can go and do that process, and it's a comfortable process. Now, like I said, setting up the UPS box and the bank account are the biggest pains in the butt because you physically have to do that. Okay, after that's done, in the next phase, you would receive the contracts. Now, we're going to talk about your protection. Okay. In anything you do in life, you must evaluate who, what, when, where, why. Okay. And we want you to understand that you're protected in this business. So the next phase would be you would receive the contracts called the reseller contract. Now you're actually under the umbrella of the advertiser as a reseller of their product. And you're given 5 protections that I'm going to go through. So this is the only part that I would really want you to pay specific attention to, maybe jot a note here or two, because this is, in my opinion, the most important document you will sign, okay? Number 1, this document that you get, that's the contract between you and the advertiser, is given both a business guarantee, and I think more importantly, the owners of these large advertising companies are going to give you a personal guarantee. Now, these guarantees, we have vetted these companies and we have vetted the owners of these companies. So they're putting personally their guarantee to these 5 things. Okay. Number 1, you have no liability when it comes to the product. Okay. So it's very important to understand they have both, the advertisers have both manufacturer and liability insurance in place. So you have no liability when it comes to the product. Okay. Number 2, they will take care of all of the banking fees associated with this. I mentioned setting up a business bank account. Now I want you to take note, we are limited in the banks that we use. We work currently with Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, US Bank, and Citizens Bank. Okay, so those are the 4 we work. Now, if there's an issue where you don't have one of those, maybe within an hour drive or something, please let me know. Sometimes we do have some other options, but those are predominantly the banks that we work with. So the advertiser in the second thing, that will take care of all the monthly fees. So let's just say you signed up your bank account, business bank account at Chase. I'm using this as an example. Typically there's a monthly fee, maybe an ACH fee, things of that nature. The advertiser will take care of that. And we'll explain the logistics of how they do that in just 1 second. Number 3, they take care of all of the servicing fees, including the UPS box and customer service. Now, customer service, part of this program is the advertiser is going to build a website for you, and it's going to mirror whatever product they sell. So if they sell a keto weight loss system, guess what? Your website would be keto weight loss, and they're going to have it look exactly like theirs. Remember, these guys are really, really good at what they do. So they're going to mirror whatever product that is, and your website's going to look exactly like that, but it'll have your LLC information on it. They have relationships with third-party customer service groups. So an 800 number will be placed on your website. So people aren't calling your home or calling your cell phone asking you, hey, does this keto weight loss really work? Or can I take vitamins? Whatever the questions might be, they're going to be taken care of. The advertiser will take care of the fee. Obviously, there's a fee associated with the customer service groups, okay? Number 4, they guarantee in writing you will receive distributions monthly of $750. So that's put in writing for you as a guarantee. And then number 5, they will take care of the merchant processing fees. Now, this one's a little more complex, so I want to unpack this for just a second. When you're a business owner and you accept credit cards, there's a fee associated to that to the business owner, anywhere from 5 to 10%. Sometimes there's reserves. So in this program, you will be applying for multiple merchant accounts to be placed onto that website so people can go on and place an order for your product. Okay. So in that process, you're going to sign up for a merchant account, and you're going to say you and your LLC will pay the merchant processing fees. But understand, you have a contract with the advertiser that they'll take care of that for you. Okay. And I'm going to go into the logistics of how you do that in just 1 second. Now, there is one guarantee that you make in return. So those are the 5 guarantees. You're protected. They'll take care of all the fees. You're guaranteed the $750 and all those things that I went over. The guarantee you make is the business account that you open. And I'm using, once again, an example. If let's say you opened your bank account at Chase, you are not to use that personally. You can't just run in there and go take a cruise or go get a hot dog at 7-Eleven. Okay. So it's for the business and the business only. All right. Now, we also don't want you to take other businesses and mix them with this account, because we don't want you to commingle funds together. That's a term that we don't want to hear. So once again, we do this to make sure that you're protected. So we want you to just have this for this business and this business only. Talk to any good accountant or CPA and they'll recommend that's good advice. Okay. So that's the commitment that you're committing to help protect yourself. So that's a great thing. So that's the contract. Now you also have a maintenance contract. So I want to go into, a lot of people are like at this point, like, hey, this sounds great, Jerry, but how does it work? What do I do? What are the logistics of this? This isn't quite connecting for me. So I want to go through what are the logistics of this program. Now, since a lot of you have experience with real estate background, I'm going to use an example. Your advertiser is like your management team. Okay. And you actually have a contract from the advertiser that they're going to maintain your website, host your website, drive the traffic, etc. Okay. They're going to do all the day-to-day operations, much like, let's say you went and bought an apartment complex in the downtown area where you are not going there from a day-to-day operations doing that work. Does that make sense? So I want you to understand you own this business, but you're not doing the day-to-day operations. That's what your advertising company's there for. And that's what
Hey, Jerry.
Yes.
Anyways, we lost some sound real quick. Can you go back and that last statement that you just made?
Yes. Okay. So I was saying that this would be like an example of an advertising company would be like your management team. Like if you went and bought an apartment complex, but you didn't want to do all the day-to-day work. So, you don't want to fix the toilets and change the locks. So this group acts like that. You have a management contract. They're going to do all the day-to-day operations. Okay. So for example, what they're going to do is they're going to drive traffic to the website. Now, remember, they're going to create this website and it's going to mirror whatever product that they have. They know all of the right buttons. These guys are really, really good at what they do. They're going to drive traffic to that website. That is your website. It has your LLC, your shipping address on there. So it's not got your personal name or anything, just so people know. On that website, if they had questions, once again, they could call customer service. All right. So they're not calling you or bugging you. Let's say that they wanted to order the keto weight loss product. They would type in their credit card information. It would process through your merchant account and it would deposit into in the example I used earlier, Chase business account. Understand this could be a Wells Fargo account or whatever, US Bank or Citizens Bank. It would deposit into your account. Okay. Now that website is also attached to what we call a drop shipping or fulfillment company. These are large warehouses that will be notified an order's been placed and they will ship the product directly to the customer. So you don't have to have 10,000 keto weight loss kits in your garage running around shipping them out. As I mentioned, this program is very automated. It's not designed to be where you're running around doing a lot of things. Okay. So let's say there was $10,000 worth of orders that was placed into your business checking account. What would happen the next month? Typically the first of the month, the merchant fees and the banking fees will automatically be deducted out of your business checking account. Okay. Then on the 15th to the 20th, either the advertiser will do this, but most of the time they'll have you do this. And that's transfer $750 from your business account to whatever personal account that you bank at. You're going to transfer that money over. Now, once that $750 hits your account, you can do whatever you want with it. You can put it in savings, pay credit cards, buy a couch. It's your money. Okay. Then at the end of the month, what's going to happen is the advertiser is going to pay the customer service fee, the product and product fulfillment fee, the advertising fee, and the management fee. So basically it's going to go down to where that account goes closer to being swept, but there'll be a reserve left in there. Then what would happen? More orders would place, and the same system would follow the next month. Orders would be placed, the fees are deducted, your 750s earned and distributed over into your personal account. So I want to take a minute to talk about taxes, because I get a lot of questions about taxes. Okay. So the money that goes through your LLC, your business, that's paid out in merchant fees, banking fees, customer service, advertising, product and product fulfillment, are all considered by the IRS as legal business tax deductions. We're just going off their code. Okay. So you will not owe taxes on the money that goes through your account that's paid out in all of these business. Okay. However, the money that goes from your business account to you personally of $750, the IRS would classify as revenue or income. You will owe taxes on the $750. Now, let me explain logistically how that's done. At the beginning of each new physical calendar year, your advertiser is going to create a tax document for your business, your LLC, called a profit and loss statement. Okay. It's going to show all the money that comes into the account, and then all the money that's paid out in merchant fees, banking fees, customer service, advertising, etc. And then it's going to show a profit margin based on the number of months you participated. So let's say you did this for a full physical 12 months. You would show 12 times 750, a $9,000 profit for your business. If you started halfway through the year, you would show 6 times 750, a $4,500 profit. So it's going to be based on the amount of profit that you received in your business. Now you simply take this form, it's very easy, and attach it to your Schedule C taxes. It's not a 1099, but it operates much like a 1099. Okay, so that's that. Now, I do want to address something. There are two things that I consider downsides to this business, and I like to hit this head on. Okay, number one, it does take approximately 3 to 5 months before you're up and receiving a distribution. And it's not that it's a complex process, it's just a lot of little things that take time period. We have to form a corporation in your state. Some states can be up to 4 or 5 months for that to be done. Some states are very quick. There's a website that has to be built, a bank account that has to be open. The campaign has to be created. There's a lot of little moving parts. So realistically, from the time you start, it's going to be on average about 4 months before you start to receive your first distribution. Now, once you start getting your distribution, it'll be monthly from there. Okay. The second thing that I would consider a downside, that I want you to have all the information, because I think that's very important. You want to have all the information so you can make the best informed decision possible. Is you will be applying for multiple merchant accounts. These merchant accounts are done through banks. Now, a lot of you that are in real estate, you get this. Like, the banks want to make sure you're financially responsible. That's why I asked the qualifying questions, the 620 credit score, no bankruptcy in the last 5 years, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So when you apply for that merchant account, they're going to pull a hard inquiry on you to make sure you're quote unquote financially responsible. Now, typically there's going to be multiple inquiries. So on average, you might drop a minimal 5 to 10 points, somewhere in that range. Now, understand, this isn't a permanent thing that'll affect you, but it is an inquiry. So there'll be a short-term minimal effect, but I want you to be aware of that. Now, I'm getting closer to the end. We don't take money in this program, but what we found is sometimes people think free and they don't give it a value. So there are people out here that sell things like this for $5,000 or $10,000. And we just want you to understand, like, we want you to take this very serious. And so we ask your personal commitment in 3 areas. I call them the 3 B's. Okay. Number 1, we want you to be committed to the full process. We don't want to work with flaky people. You know, if you're going to do this, remember, the advertiser is putting up money to pre-fund your opening your accounts. They're creating an LLC. They're building a website. They're driving traffic. They're literally spending tens of thousands of dollars to get you up and going. Okay. Now, do they make money in those management fees and advertising fees? Of course they do. They wouldn't be doing it if they didn't have a way to make the money back. But it's important to give them time. So we want you to just be committed to the long-term process of this program. Number 2, we want you to be flexible. Understand, we have 100 different advertisers. They're all on the same payout. They're all on the same contract. Some might do business slightly different. As I mentioned, there's a merchant requirements and timelines. In those things, we give the list of things that maybe some of these companies do 2 LLCs and they rotate mids, and people say, well, do I get paid twice on that? No, it's $750, but the campaign's going to run longer. Okay. So we want you to be flexible. Sometimes things adjust in any industry, and you have to be able to adapt and adjust. And number 3, the most important thing is be responsive. Part of this program, you'll be assigned to the advertiser. When you're assigned to the advertiser, you will also be assigned to someone from Reseller Consultants admin team. This is your person, okay? This is your go-to person. They are your liaison between the advertiser and you. Okay, so they're going to reach out to you. Maybe it's Jennifer or Tally or Carmen. We have quite a few staff there. They work with specific advertisers. So if you're assigned to this advertiser, this person's going to reach out to you and say, hey, welcome aboard. My name's Tally, and this is my cell phone. You can text me, call me. Here's my email. We try to send videos. We try to send emails of instructions, but sometimes maybe that's not clear. So we want you to have a dedicated team member that you can reach out to specifically if you have any questions during the program. There's no reason to be frustrated or confused. Reach out. Now, if the advertiser needs you to maybe sign an additional document, or you forgot to do this, or you need the UPS box set up, they would reach out to your admin team member, and that team member would get back to you and say, hey, we need you to do this item. These are going to be one-time management items, okay? So when they reach out to you, please get back to them. Treat them like a valued vendor within a 24 to 48 hour period of time. Now, we know a lot of you have businesses that you're running or jobs that you're doing. A response could simply be a text back or an email back. Hey, I'm in the middle of something. I can get to that tomorrow, or I can't get to that till Friday. That's a response. So please be responsive. That's just critical and key. I guess I should add this to a fourth one. We want you to be proactive. One of the things, we have quite a few people on this call, and I would imagine there'd be a large interest when we're done. So I'm going to go over the next steps for you. If you have an interest, understand we might be like getting to everybody as quickly as possible, but be proactive. Don't just give up if you got the documents in wrong or you need to do something. Please be proactive with us, and that will help. Now, the last thing I want to cover, it would be what would be the next steps. If you have an interest in this, what I want you to do is you're going to text my assistant, Zandre. Let me get out my phone really quickly here. So hold on just 1 second. All right. So if you have an interest, what you're going to do is text to 702-281-9838. So I'm going to say that again, 702-281-9838. And you're going to type in or text her your name and your email address. Obviously, we're going to capture your phone number as the text number that calls it or texts in. We're going to add you to our list. What would happen next is we would send you out what we call a welcome email. In that welcome email, there are the 7 items that I mentioned previously. Now, I'm going to go through these items really quickly. And then if you have any questions specifically, I don't want you to give up or whatever. Reach out to me directly. I'm going to also provide my phone number as well. It's 561-644-3743. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm one of the owners of this business. And my partner, Eric, and I are involved in this business on a daily basis. This isn't an absentee owner. I actually talk to every single person before they enroll in the program. I just want to answer any specific questions. It's very vital to us as business owners to constantly keep our pulse on business. I would like to tell you our business is perfect. It's probably not, but one of the things we do is we make adjustments. And because we're involved on a day-to-day basis, we're there to help, and we can make adjustments at lightning speed. Business is a series of adapting. Life is a series of adapting. 2020 has taught us that, right? So, we're here to help you. And I don't even mind giving out my personal information. I love to talk to every single one. So you can
Hey, Jerry, what was your number again? A lot of people missed it.
561-644-3743. Now,
and I'll agree, you do. You call everybody. I remember I sent a couple over and you just get on all of them.
I call every single person. So now be careful. I am married, 27 years, have 5 children. So, I know that although my wife told me I have a face for radio, I'm not sure what that meant. But anyway, so you're going to text Zandre your name and your email. Now, if there's an issue or a question specifically that you're like, hey, I don't have this document, or I'm not sure if I qualify, or does this, reach out to me. I would rather take a couple minutes. And even if you're not qualified at this minute, we have people all the time that make the adjustments that are necessary and join our program later. Okay. So, but we do want you to do this quickly, because I didn't realize there was going to be 100 people, but I should know this now with Chris. When he says he's going to do something, he does it very rapidly.
Listen, Jerry,
So,
like one of the greatest things that I love about this is literally, I know these are hard times for a lot of people, and $750 is a really, really great thing for people to kind of use it to get ahead, pay off debt, do whatever they need. So when you brought that up, I'm like, of course I need to tell my people. I've probably talked about this more than I've talked about the other things that I actually like sell or, get paid to do. I think if I help enough people, well, it's Zig Ziglar's old thing. If you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. And that's the reason for it. And I think it's just fantastic.
yeah. So anyway, I will just finish up. I'm close to the end here. So thanks for you guys' patience. I want to just try to give you a real complete picture of this to hopefully answer 95% of the questions out there. So you would text Zandre your name and your email. We will send you out the welcome email. In that welcome email, it's going to have the 7 documents that you need to return. I'm going to go through these. They are a copy of your driver's license front and back, or state issued ID. Number 2 is a current utility bill that matches your ID. Now, some of you might be married and it might have it in your spouse's name. All we need is a copy of your marriage certificate. Now, some of you might be renting a place where the utilities are included, or staying at home, or whatever the situation. We can provide you with a lease that shows that you're paying utilities where you're at, and that is an option if you don't have a current utility bill. Number 3, 3 months of personal bank statements. Most banks these days have it where you can send those electronically in a PDF format. Then number 4, the 2018 and 19 tax returns. We only need the 1040 portion, which are typically the first 2 to 3 pages, no state, no long form. Also, if you didn't file or you were planning on file, we can take a draft. This isn't, the banks don't match it up with the IRS, but it does need to be something that you've drafted out that has the 1040 portion filled out. Now, there'll be 2 other documents that'll be DocuSign sent to you via email through DocuSign. Most of my real estate people have used DocuSign. They know what it is. It'll be emailed to you. The entity formation sheet takes 2 to 3 minutes to fill out. You send it back. The next one's the merchant requirements and timelines. As I mentioned a couple times, if somebody said, hey, Jerry, what am I committing to? There's 18 bullet points that you initial. Okay. We now found that people don't read it. And so we give them a quiz. And now, if you don't pass the quiz, we'll give you the answers. But that we really want you to take a minute and just understand that there's nothing on there that's hard or tricky. It's common business sense practices, but we want you to know what you're committing to. Okay. So that document would be returned via DocuSign. And the last thing is a credit report from Experian, specifically and only. Now I know Rob's going to talk about other things, because if you want real estate loans, you a lot of them check other ones. But for our specific program, we only need the credit report from Experian sent to us. Now, once you would send those 7 documents, like I said, we'd match you up with an advertisement. Now, I have a lot of people say, hey, Jerry, this is a lot of personal information I'm sending. And this even came up recently, Chris, with one of the clients. I want you to know, in the 18 years we've done this, we have never had a data breach or an ID theft. Okay, we have an impeccable track record. We have never had an issue. But we have to be PCI compliant, because we send information to the banks. We have to update this. Also, guys, we have ID theft and data breach insurance for our company. We will never have to use the amount that we have, but we just want you to know we take your information serious. It's not something that we take lightly, and we have never had an issue. So for those of you that are concerned, I want you to know we go through every thing that's needed to make sure that you're safe. Okay, and that is an issue these days. So I don't blame anybody for wanting to know, and I want to validate that and let you know about that. All right. So once again, if you have an interest, you would reach out to Zandre. Let me just grab her name, our phone number really quickly, 702-281-9838. You're going to text her your name and your email, and then she'll send you out the welcome email. Try to get those documents back to her as soon as possible. I usually will reach out to you ahead of time or while she sends this and just go over with you if you have any additional questions. As Chris mentioned, I talk to every single person. I don't let anybody in just because I want you to have that experience. I want you to know that we're here and we're here for you guys. And if there's specific, like sometimes there's specific issues that somebody might be facing that's different, I want to help you with those issues. So even though you might not qualify or it's a situation right now, we can give you options to work towards that. So Chris, I think I feel like I've covered pretty much hopefully everything. I know there'll be a question and answer form. Once again, I sincerely want to thank you for taking your time to have me on. And I want to thank all of you for taking time to listen about the opportunity. It's going to work for some of you. It's going to be a great thing. We understand it might not work for all of you, but we do appreciate everyone's time. And it's good to always educate yourself, in my opinion, on what are options that are available out there. Okay. So thank you again.
Absolutely. So Rob, I think it's great, because I'm overwhelmed with questions. So all of you, if you're listening to this and you have questions, do me a favor, just because of the sheer number of questions that are coming in. If you could send all questions to the questions and answers section, and I'm watching them right now, and then we'll go back at the end after Rob, and we're going to just do a Q&A. We're going to get everybody's questions answered. But if you're chatting them in, I might miss it because there's probably been 50 questions sent in. So just send them over to the questions and answers. And a lot of the people are asking, what if my credit scores, not the 620, and that's where Rob comes in. So I think that's a perfect segue into what you do, Rob. So you want to kind of show them how you can help them get qualified for this?
Yes, you bet. And to talk further about Jerry and his group and what they do and that program, it's interesting. My wife and my son who is 21 years old, they are doing the program and doing quite well. My 21-year-old son, he's a full-time student, and that extra $750 really comes in handy. So it's being paid each and every month like clockwork, and it's a really, really great program. So I can vouch for it firsthand on what that can do for you. See, you're.
I can't hear you, Chris.
Sorry, that was my fault. I was muted. So I just wanted to jump in real quick. One of the things that I wanted to make sure, he just pointed out that he's doing it with his family. Well, every person that works in this office is doing this, except for me, because I don't qualify. My mother is doing this. So I had some people say, this sounds too good to be true. I told you that's what you would be saying. But literally, like, my family's doing this. Like, why wouldn't I have my mom do this? It's just, like, there's absolutely no reason. So thank you for bringing that up. And I didn't mean to shine in on that, but it's so important.
I want to jump on that too, Rob, just to let you know, my partner, Eric, my business partner, Eric, has both of his sons are in this program. And my oldest one that was going through part-time school was making the 750s. It was 750 I wouldn't have to give him. So it was like a double win for me. But, so this isn't something we just do as a business. We recommend this to family and friends that it's a good fit for. So good point, Rob.
Yeah, you bet. That's awesome. So anyway, here at CSS Consulting, what we do, we really, our specialty is working with individuals and helping them with their credit. And just to give you a little bit of a background, according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1974, it's quite interesting because you're not, anything that is reported inaccurately or posted inaccurately with the credit bureaus has to be or should be deleted or removed. And statistics show that over 85% of the items that are listed with the credit bureaus are inaccurate, over 85%. So that's where we come in. We go in and we can actually get those items, those inaccuracies removed. Now, they may be reflected as as negatives, as derogatories, but we will go in and we will submit the proper paperwork, proper documentation. We'll prepare that and submit it on behalf of the client. Now, with this, what we're doing is, and it's really kind of twofold, because one, we're actually helping shore up the client's, I would say, identity security. Because as you all very well know, back several years ago, over the last several years, both Equifax and Experian had experienced security breaches in their database. So there is, I mean, the bottom line, everybody is a target of identity theft. Whether we want to be or not, we are all targets of identity theft. And so we will go in, we will submit the appropriate paperwork, appropriate documentation on the client's behalf, and get those items removed that are inaccurate, negative, derogatory, as well as making sure that one's credit history, credit reports are secure, meaning we will actually implement fraud alerts. There are fraud alerts that it's to your advantage. You can have them removed at any time, but we'll put them on there just to help to secure any credit applications that are certainly going through you and your processes, just to make sure that no one is getting credit in your name without your authorization and approval. So security blocks or fraud alerts are put on these accounts as we go through and we clean up the credit history. Now, in turn, as we're removing these negative and derogatory items, these negative and derogatory items consist of anything from collections, inquiries, judgments, foreclosures, repossessions, medical bills, tax liens, even discharged bankruptcies. Now, we find that a lot of times with discharged bankruptcies, an individual might have had their bankruptcy on their credit report for 12, 13 years. Well, that should have been off in 10 years, at least 10 years. So we'll go in and make sure that those time constraints are adhered to, and make sure that again, the credit reports are clean, are accurate, and reporting 100% accurate. Because if they are not accurate, we can go in and have those items removed. And that even includes discharged bankruptcies. Keep in mind as well that inquiries, all of these issues that will appear can really dramatically affect our credit scores and affect them to the tune of, being in the low 500s, even high 400s. And so there's certainly, there's nothing that we haven't seen and nothing that we haven't done that we can't improve those credit scores to where you can certainly qualify for this program with Jerry. Now, keep in mind as well, we do this pretty timely. A lot of times I've seen companies that will kind of drag this process on month after month after month, and we see improvements and deletions happening within a 30 to 60 day period. It can happen even as quickly. We've seen it with Experian. We've seen items removed as quickly as 7 to 10 days. One of our experiences is we helped a first-time home buyer who credit scores were in the low or mid 500s, trying to qualify for a home within a 3-week period. We got her qualified. She was just ecstatic. I mean, we have so many testimonials that it's really, really awesome to help these people get into a better situation and help speed up that process, because it's interesting. The financial institutions, credit bureaus, they're very quick to add anything to our credit reports, whether it's correct or not, and very slow with removing those inaccuracies. Now, keep in mind, it's really interesting because the credit bureaus are paid or compensated by the financial institutions. So it is in the financial institution's best interests to, of course, they're going to make money with being able to charge higher interest rates. But as the higher the credit scores are, we qualify for lower interest rates. So there is a little, I guess you can say, a little conflict of interest here as far as the credit bureaus are concerned in catering to the financial institutions. I wouldn't say that they purposely keep our scores low, but it's certainly in the financial institution's best interest to keep our scores low, or the lower, the more money that they can make. So thank goodness that we have the Fair Credit Reporting Act, 1974, that allows us to go in and make those corrections and making sure that we're reporting accurately. We can affect all three bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, but certainly with Jerry's program, we can go in and we can just attack the one credit bureau, which is Experian, and do it in a very timely fashion, like I said, within a 30 to 60 day period versus many months or even into 1 or 2 years. We do it fairly expeditiously within that 30 to 60 day period. If there's something that's lingering, beyond that 60 days, we'll go in and reattack that, resubmit, and work at getting that removed. So I'm sure there might be some more questions and answers to attend to as far as this is concerned. I wanted to make sure that I give you my cell phone number. This is my direct line where you can actually text me any additional questions. And also, if you wanted to get started with this program, there's a couple of different ways that we can go about it. One, we can just attack the experience so that you guys can get qualified for Jerry's program very quickly, or we can clean up the whole credit situation across the board with all three bureaus, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. And there would be, of course, there's a different fee for that, but there's certainly 2 different fees respectively for the work that we do with one credit bureau versus all 3 credit bureaus. And my number, my direct number, first of all, I'll give you my email address. Email address would be Rob, R-O-B, at cssanalyst.com. That's Rob at cssanalyst.com. My direct line, and texting is really great because I can timestamp that and I can respond very, very quickly and accurately to your questions, concerns, and requests. But my direct number is 801-668-4749. That's 801-668-4749. Thank you.
All right, perfect. So Jerry, we got questions for a bunch. So Rob, real quick, just because they're at the end, let me get these ones out of the way. So we had a couple questions. One was, what about child support claims on someone's credit? Can you take care of those?
We have had experience where we've taken care of child support that's been in arrears claims. We have had experience with getting those removed.
Okay. And then somebody else was asking, let me just find it. There was, this is a big one. Can you remove school loans? That's a huge
school loans, student loans, yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wow. So Rob, there you go. That's a huge one because I think the next big bubble is student loans, and we'll see what's going to happen with that coming into 2020. All right. So Jerry, are you ready? You ready with your answers thing? Because we got
great questions. Should I just start with the top one? I'll just kind of
absolutely just run right down through them. Yep. And then I'll just click them off as you do them.
how many merchant accounts can I do for the 750? Unfortunately, it's one per household. Now, if you have somebody that, you know, is a brother, cousin, because one of the other questions are, can other people enroll in this if they met the qualifications? The answer is yes. Okay. So if you have a son or someone you would think of. Now, okay, who is responsible for the upkeep of the LLC? So you would have documents that you need to sign yearly, but the payment that's made for to renew the LLC is covered by the advertiser. So there's no financial, the second year, they take care of all that. Okay. Also, when a campaign is done or finished, they also dissolve the corporation for you when it's completed. So the initial filing, the yearly filing, and the dissolved corporation are all done by a company called My LLC, and that's paid for by the advertising company. Great question, though. And that's one I usually go into. So I'm glad somebody, great question. Okay, somebody wants to know what would happen if a product needed to be returned. So what happens is when the product is sent out by the fulfillment company, if somebody wants to return it, they would call into customer service. Customer service is going to give them a return authorization to return it to the fulfillment house. So then they check in on the computer and say that this is returned, and then that person would be issued a refund. So great question. It's not coming to your house. A lot of people want to know, like, correspondences. The reason we use UPS, there are sometimes customer service questions or things that come in. The reason we use UPS is they have a mail forwarding option. So the mail will come in to the UPS box. We'll give you the address for the servicing group, and it'll be forwarded on to the corporate offices so they can take care of any correspondence. Much like, also, one of the things I don't think I went through, once you set up the bank account initially, you're going to set it up for online. So it's not that you don't have to go there once a month to go transfer things or anything like that. It's all going to be done online. I don't think I mentioned that. Okay. Okay, my phone cut out.
I think this is a good one. Why did these companies do this, and what's the value for them? I think this is an easy one.
Yeah. So listen, as a business owner, we have when you sign up and you incorporate any kind of business, you actually take what they consider a fiduciary obligation to do the best you can to grow that business and make that business successful. This keeps people from tanking. So one of the things is these businesses want to grow and expand. Just like my business, just like hopefully if you own real estate, you want to continue to advance your portfolio. That's why sometimes you might do a joint venture with somebody. Maybe you don't have all the capital to do that deal. So you go in and you do a joint venture with somebody to expand. And that's what these advertisers need people to do, help them expand their business. And for that, you're being compensated. So it's a true win-win situation. Okay, great question. I'm using funds to grow my business credit for my wholesaling company. If I were to do this, would it affect my business credit due to the inquiries? Okay, so the answer is this will affect your credit score minimally for a short period of time. It's typically 5 to 10 points. So I'm not going to say it doesn't affect you. And a lot of that's going to depend on where your credit score is. The nice thing is, though, with Rob's group, if you have inquiries, I don't know if he's still on, but I know one of the things they can do is remove inquiries for a minimum fee. You can also go and have them removed yourself. So I wouldn't, for me to make 9,000 for 5 to 10 points that you could take care of for a minimal fee, or you could do yourself, I wouldn't let that stop me from doing this. That's my opinion. Okay. Rob, you guys remove inquiries pretty easy, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not able to get an updated license to show my current address. That's a great question. We run into this right now. What they're doing due to COVID, they will allow you to take your current license, turn it over. On the back, you're going to put a little shipping label on it, and you can hand write in your address. They are accepting that now because of the situation where people can't get in and go to the DMV and stuff like that. Now, I would encourage you, actually, a lot of people don't know this, but if you move somewhere, by law, within 90 days, you're supposed to update your driver's license. It's not something they're going to pull you over for, but I'm just saying, I'd recommend you doing that, getting an appointment. But for the time being, because of the COVID situation, just put a little mailing sticker on there, and it's you just write in your current address that would match that information. So that's a great question. Also, guys, I didn't mention this before. Zandre, who's my assistant, she's more than just, she's technically savvy. She knows the program inside and out. She was one of our top reps. She's been with our company for a long time. So if you have questions or you're like challenged to get the documents in or having an issue, reach out to her. She is awesome at getting that. And her whole job is to help you get that paperwork back as timely as possible. Okay. So I would encourage you to get on that process and do it fast. Okay. I'm a stay-at-home mom. So with the bank statements, how do I do it? Well, typically that would be more of a one-on-one question, probably. Like typically people have some type of bank account. If you don't have a bank account, that would be something, text me and I can give you some options of what you need to start building that. Because it wouldn't be something you could participate in immediately, but long-term you could. Can multiple people in the household, we address that? It's one per household.
I got one real quick, and it's one that a bunch of people were asking. It's like, let's say you start a campaign. I know Larissa was asking me this. If you start a campaign and your campaign runs 6 months and then all of a sudden it ends, can you start another one after that?
Okay, great question. And I'm going to lump in two answers because I did notice
Awesome.
somebody asked too, how long do what's the deal? How long do these run? So we're going to answer both that, and then can you do another one? So just so you know, we put in the contracts with the advertisers that you would get a minimum 6 months. So that's 6 times 750 is $4,500. The reason we do that is we didn't want you to do the initial 6 to 8 hours of setup and then run this 1 month and say, here's 750, thanks, have a good day. We actually wanted to de-incentivize the advertising companies to make test campaigns on you. Okay, because understand these advertising companies are constantly tweaking, trying to do things. So we want to make sure that the campaign that they put in front of you, that you're going to joint venture on, that is something that they're planning on trying to do as long as possible. Okay, so we kind of put a little, we said, hey, if you're really good at what you're going to do, you're not just going to use these people for a month. So we're going to have you put a financial commitment in there. Now, I will say this. The $4,500, less than 5% of our campaigns go under the 6 months or less. Typically, you're going to see anywhere from a year to 2 years. You're going to make anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 would be a typical result. Now, the question is, now we've had campaigns go 4 or 5 years. So, but the problem is, as an owner, I can't sit here and go, hey, your campaign is going to go 6 months, 16 months, 36 months, or 60 months. The reason people ask me then why do they not go? Why do some go longer? Here's the deal. You're dealing with what we call trends or fad type products. Okay. These are like wrinkle beauty creams, weight loss, teeth white. Okay. Things of that nature. So what happens in this industry is right now, keto weight loss is really big. So it might go for 2 years. And then Dr. Oz comes on his show and says, hey, if you chew on the bark of this pine tree, you're going to lose 40 pounds. Okay. And everybody's gnawing on the tree, right? And I'm being facetious, but behind the facetiousness is actual truth, right? A lot of the things we say in jest have truth behind them. That's how this industry works. Cindy Crawford might come out and say, look at me, I'm 60 years old, but I look 40 and I use this beauty wrinkle cream. So what's going to happen is the advertiser is not going to run a campaign that's not going to be profitable or, have long-term longevity. So that's the reason for that answer. Now, what would happen if you did a campaign, let's say it went 2 years, you made 18 grand, yay, that's just fun. So there would be a wind down period of 6 months, and then 6 months after that, so it's a year, I want to be direct, it's a year, you could reapply for another campaign. Now you would have to do the initial paperwork. Once again, it would be funded, there'd be no cost. So just so you know that you would have that option to do that if that's something that you were interested in. Okay. So great questions, by the way.
Yeah, they are.
And will the check affect a refi in progress? Here's my recommendation. If you are literally doing a refi right now, the credit pulls for our company will not be for 45 days to 60 days typically. But I wouldn't, if you're doing if you're doing a refinance right now, but it was going to be like they weren't going to pull it for 30 days or something, I wouldn't interfere with that. Make sure you get your refi done and then apply for the program. Okay, so once again, we're here to help people. If you have a project that you've been working on, I will tell you this: most companies don't want you getting inquiries, but that would be certainly something you could ask them about. But I would say, my opinion is talk to the loan person that you're working with. Right, Rob? Wouldn't you kind of echo that? No, I think we lost him. But anyway, so we're not here to interfere with any of that. So, but do understand, if you have a refi going on this week, you're not going to have a credit inquiry for 45 days. So it's not going to interfere at all. Can I share with a friend? Absolutely. I like the program, but need work with credit. Okay, I think we've given you some options on that. Okay, so someone asked about the banking minimums. That's an excellent question. I do get that. When my 21-year-old son was doing this program, he was just working part-time. And I mean, he'd keep a couple hundred.
Oh, hey, Jerry, we lost your volume. Jerry? Uh-oh, what's that? Technical malfunction, folks. Give me 1 second. I got to tell Jerry we can't hear him. Oh, there you go. Now
Did we lose you?
Yeah, we lost that. It was weird. Like we lost that little part there. Can you just start right back over at that? Because you were just getting to the good stuff.
Yeah, so it's not about the amount of money. My 21-year-old son did this program. He had a couple $100 in his account on average. He was just a student, working part-time. So it's not about that. What they will look at, though, is this person being financially responsible with the amount of money that they have? So if a person had 20 grand in their personal account and they're overdrafting and bouncing checks for it goes from 20 grand to -5 and back and they're going to look at that person and say, this person isn't managing the money that they have. Why would we trust them with a merchant account to manage other people's funds? So it's not about an income amount. We have people that are on retirement, Social Security that do this program or unemployment. It's about, did you file your taxes? Are you responsible with what you have? So the nice thing is you don't have to show a certain dollar amount. Okay, so that's one of the great things. For the potential risk of being compensated, my LLC is liable for the bank account and the business transactions suits. Jerry, for program, I do pay the annual sales business fees. No, you wouldn't pay the California tax. By the way, this is the internet business, but you won't pay any of the LLC fees. Okay, who does the LLC? Same questions. A lot of questions on that. Just so you know, the LLCs, once again, the startup, the annual, and the dissolve are all taken care of. Okay. How often do campaigns end? They're inevitably, all of them are going to be in. It's just a matter of time. What are we responsible for day to day, weekly, monthly? Great question. So as I mentioned, your advertiser is like your apartment complex manager. Okay, they're going to do all of the day-to-day work. There's nothing you do on a day-to-day basis. Now, the reason I say, people say, what's the 30 minutes a month kind of thing? What would be things that I would be likely responsible for? These would be one-time admin things that are your admin team member would reach out and say, hey, we need a bank code from the bank, or we need you to email us the bank statements from the company. Maybe you forgot to sign a document, or you have another merchant account application that you have to do a DocuSign. So I don't want to say there's never anything, because then if somebody goes and has to go to the bank and show an ID or something, then they're mad at me saying, well, you said I don't have to do anything. So that 30 minutes to an hour type situation, that's just to CYA. Okay. So I just want to make sure that, you know that there could be administrative items that would be asked of you. Some months, could there be none? Absolutely. So hopefully that answered that. Let's see.
Maybe the one about the PO box.
Okay, I have a PO box with a local post office. Will that suffice? For the, I don't understand the question as far as for an address, a physical address that you need,
I think
or
that's what they're asking. They're just asking
Okay.
if they, just have a PO box, can they use that, or do they need a physical address?
no, unfortunately, the banks are going to require a physical address. Once again, though, if you're in that situation, what we can do is send you a lease. Maybe you're living with a friend, okay, and put in there. Now the lease is already filled out, so you have to fill in the blanks. You can't put that you're renting for $1, but say you're renting a room for $300 or $400, and the utilities are included. They're not going to call your roommate and say, "Hey, is this person actually?" It just has to be a document that matches up. Understand that, and most of you have worked with the bank, so I'm not trying to talk down at all, but understand, banks like to see bin A filled, bin B filled, and bin C filled, and as long as they're filled with what they're looking for, then they're fine. If not, they get really weird about that. So, all right.
And Monica, I think you already hit hers. You don't have to be a business owner to do this, Monica.
Not
It's
at
pretty
all.
much anyone. So I just wanted to make sure I got rid of that one. And I think
Yeah.
you just answered Mark's question too about the one per household, but his girlfriend lives with him. Can she rent a room?
Okay. So that's a very interesting one. If they do not file taxes together, okay, which the girlfriend, let's just say that they don't, but the problem is they're going to check the address. So that's kind of weird. That one I have to ask let me just explain one thing. My business partner is a CPA. Okay. He actually ran a large accounting firm in California. He would go into companies that were in trouble and help solve their problems tax-wise. So I do all of the recruiting, and then he takes the people with our admin team. We're in Las Vegas is our corporate offices. He lives there. He takes them from there, gets them the merchant accounts, and deals with the advertising companies and the merchant banks. I would have to get back to that individual. Please text me, and I promise you I will get back to you on that, because that's an interesting question, because sometimes the address would show up, but if it's a person that's renting a room, I don't know, they're not the same last name, that might work, but I don't want to say 100% sure without getting proper information. I don't want to give information that I'm not 100% accurate on. So I usually never get a question that I don't know. So that's kind of fun.
It's a good one. Good one, Mark.
Well, no, I always like to learn,
It's always the Hawaiians that come in with those kind of questions.
All right. So another question was, are the companies located in the good old US? 90% of our advertisers are in the US. We do have a couple that are outside of the US, mostly in the UK. So good question there. What is the name? Rob, what's your company's name?
CSS Consulting.
Okay. How long did the
Rob, there was one other question too, and I don't know if you can answer this or if you just want someone to text you, but there was a question about what is your service cost to, do the credit? And I'm sure there's a couple different options. How do you want to handle that?
Yeah, there's a few different variables. I can certainly, if they would text me, and then I can start that dialogue and kind of go through their individual situation, and just work out something that's going to be best for them. So
Perfect.
Certainly.
I just put your number up there. So whoever's question that was, I just put Rob's number there. You can text him and he can answer that.
Rob, also, one of the questions is how long do the inquiries stay on my credit report?
Great question.
Do you have I have an answer, but
about 2 years.
Okay.
And with the inquiries as well, we'll go in, we'll delete the inquiries or remove those inquiries. Now, if there is an inquiry that's attached to a good account, we don't necessarily want to remove that inquiry, because if you do, that could in turn remove the account itself. So we have to be careful on what we remove, how we remove it. And, but typically they do remain on the credit report for, I believe it's 2 years.
Okay. Okay. One other, it was a pretty good question. They said that this person has a direct sell business. If they wanted to close down, can they participate? Absolutely. If it's something that I'm going to go over this both ways too, because occasionally I get this question. If you had a direct sell business, you didn't want to do that anymore, and you wanted to participate because maybe you're not doing a lot of volume. You're doing, $1,000 a year or something like that, and this would make more sense. Just understand you might have to provide the merchant statements, but you can still participate. you just might have to require, they might require you to send a copy of those statements. Now, I also have had people say, hey, Jerry, what if the deal of the lifetime comes to me and I have the opportunity to open a restaurant and it's my passion, what I wanted to do. So here's the situation, guys. We're here to help you, not hurt you. We don't have cancellation penalties. We don't have fines that we try to do. But what we do ask is that you send us a notice in email, 90 days, so that we can either replace you or we can tell the advertiser to stop putting money into the campaign. Where it would be hurtful is if somebody was doing a campaign and just said, I quit, because, the advertiser might have spent 15 grand that day and now there's no way to recoup that. So let's keep it like, really, to me, this is just a business etiquette. If something occurs in your life and you have an amazing opportunity, I'm going to be the first one to give you a high five and say, take it, because that's what I believe in. I want people, this isn't meant to be your retirement, but this is meant to help people. And even a little bit, every little bit helps, right? So if you have that opportunity, just give us the business courtesy, shoot us an email saying, hey, listen, it's been great. Have an awesome, opportunity. We're going to say congratulations and we'll wind everything down. Fair enough? So we want you to know it kind of goes both ways. If you're doing something, you're taking credit card processing, you're not being successful, you want to join, you can. If you have an opportunity of a lifetime, great. Like I said, we want you to have that. What if
the expired license one you already hit, right? We talked about that.
So I didn't talk specifically about expired license. Most cases they're going to let you do I would still send in the expired license because of the COVID thing. I think we would get that fixed. Now, what they're going to want to do is say, hey, when it opens back up, we need to get that, we want a copy of the new one. So somebody asked, when the campaign ends, what happens? Okay, that's a great question. So let's say the campaign went for 2 years and the advertisers is going to send you an email and they say, hey, listen, the campaign is going to now, you're in wind down mode. Okay. So what's happening is they're no longer putting money into the account. They're no longer driving traffic. They're going to actually pay you $250 monthly to just keep the business account open. So you're going to get an additional, sometimes it's 4 months, sometimes it's 6 months. So you're going to get an additional $1,000 to $1,500, because what they want you to do, keep that bank account open. All of these accounts typically are going to have what we call a reserve. And I didn't get into this because we're getting into very detailed information, but this reserve is to help you. It's a savings account that's not held by us. It's not held by the advertiser. It's not held by you, but what we call the issuing bank, meaning the merchant account company that you're working with holds a reserve. And I call that the oh crap money. We have never had a situation where one of the owners of these companies had died or anything like that. But if you want to play worst case scenario, we can run it really quick because 2020 has taught us there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on. Let's say one of the owners is flying across the country in his private jet. He crashes to the ground. He dies. And because he knows the secret formulas, the company goes out of business and he personally is dead. So now you have a business guarantee and a personal guarantee that aren't worth anything. Now you promise that you're going to pay the merchant processing fees. Now, obviously you would alert us. We would alert you actually, because we would know, my partner keeps track of all the advertisers. We would alert you that of the tragedy of the situation. We would inform you to close down the bank account and everything. What would happen though, is the merchant company that the fees would be charged from, that you are on the hook for, they would take those out of the reserve. So just so you know, in a scenario that's never even, I just want you to understand how deep we've gone with this. In a scenario that's never happened, we have a backup plan. So, because the biggest thing for you is you have to say, hey, am I protected? And that's critical. You're buying real estate, what's my upside and what's my downside, right? So we take care of that. So you would be paid $250 to keep the bank account open. When the final reserves were released, you would forward that to the advertiser. They would dissolve the corporation. You would close the bank account and you would close the UPS box, and that footprint is done. So that's the proper wind down of this. Okay. How long?
What about the utilities one? I thought that was good. If the utilities are in the partner's name, even though you pay rent, that's an interesting one.
The utility. Well, in that situation, what I would do is probably just do the lease because it's gonna cover that. So you could just say you're leasing from that person and your utilities are included in that. So remember, if there's a conflict, that can solve most of the time. Now, one person said, my driver's license, bank statements, tax and bills have my PO box. Is that acceptable? I think it would be acceptable. They might want to say, hey, do you have a resident? Like they might want to ask it, that might be a request, but it would work as long as you have some type. What they're looking for, understand the merchant companies, the banks are looking for, does this person have some type of residency? Do they have a place where they reside? Are they going all around? Are they not, so that's the answer to that. They might ask for some form of residency, but I'm 99% sure we could take care of that and get you into the program.
Winnebago doesn't count as a legitimate address, just so you know.
What's that?
The Winnebago doesn't count as a legitimate address.
That is correct. That is correct. So, can you do it in Canada, eh? No, unfortunately, has to be. Now, if you were a resident, also you had dual citizenship and you had an address here, yes, but that's usually not the case. How long until you are how long before you're contacted? A certain time. Listen, hopefully I have a bunch of people. I promise you this, I will put every effort into the next couple days. I'll even call on Saturdays. I'll try to get to everyone in the next 2 to 3 business days. Don't give up on me, but I'm usually pretty quick into getting back to people and getting you started. And once again, I love the proactiveness. 2 people in the same house, not related. Can they both do the program? Once again, I'm going to have to find out on that one because of the same address. My inclination would probably be yes, but I do need to find out on that. What about active duty military? That is a great question. So if a person knows they're going to be deployed, that's going to be an issue. If you don't think you're going to be deployed, and I know you don't always know if you're going to be deployed, but let's just say you schedule-wise, it doesn't show that you're not going to be deployed for, let's say, a year or 9 months, that would be acceptable. If you're going to go on deployment in the next 6 months, then it's not going to make sense because you're going to do all the paperwork and then they send information, so it won't work. But if you know you're going to be stationed stateside, moving's fine. It's just if you're going to go out of the country. Hopefully that makes sense. PO box. Are we required to get one? No, the answer is no. It will be a UPS box. And we use them specifically for 2 reasons. Number one, on the address, it's going to show for your business. It's the mailing address. It'll show such and such address, suite or office number, as opposed to a PO box shows a actual PO box. And then they also have mail forwarding, which is probably the biggest reason we use them at UPS, not the Postal Service. Not that we have anything against the Postal Service, but that's why we use UPS. If you have a joint bank accounts, that's fine. You can, like I said, submit a marriage certificate's all you need on that. Did you say only 1 person per household? The answer is yes. I have a tax lien that will be dismissed next year. Do I have to wait until that? Yes. Jerry, what is the name of your company? That is Reseller, singular, Consultants, plural. I am confused. I thought I heard UPS box. Is there a need for a business post office box or not? No, UPS is you'll be setting up a UPS box that will be serving as the mailing address for your new LLC. Okay, so with every completion of the campaign, it cancels out, a new one starts. Should we choose? Yes, you have to do all of the steps again, opening up the UPS box, the bank account, signing the documentation, the agreements, and also doing the merchant accounts. So good question. The answer to your question is yes, there would be additional hard pulls on that next campaign. All right. Do they take care of LLC state and federal taxes? Okay, so the LLC is considered a sole member LLC. So it's considered a flow through entity. It's not a C Corp or an S Corp. So therefore there are no federal taxes on that. So just so everybody's clear, your LLC will not owe taxes. You will only owe taxes on the amount of 750s you receive yearly. You have to have do you have to have a physical bank that you listed available? Limited. Okay, so the one thing I will say is the only state that we can't get somebody approved in is the state of Hawaii. And
that sucks.
It's because of the banking situation. Yeah. I am the director of a nonprofit with Square. Did you personally, this is Rep?
Yes.
Did you personally sign for that nonprofit organization? If you just work there, then that would not disqualify you. If you were the one that actually signed the application for the merchant account for the nonprofit, then it would be a conflict. So just to be clear on that, if you work at a place that takes credit, it doesn't, you're not disqualified. If you've signed on a physical merchant account, then we recommend that you don't participate. Because guys, just understand and the reason is because if you already have merchant accounts here and we added you on, more than likely there wouldn't be an issue, but it could potentially affect your cap. And so here we are coming along to help you a little bit, and then we go and hurt your core business. We're not interested in that. Once again, we're here to help everyone. This has to be a good fit for everybody to make sense. Now, if your online business did $500 last year, would that be something that I'd consider? Yeah, I'm not a math expert, but $9,000 seems better than 500. But so, all right. Anything else? I may have missed this, but can you have other active LLCs? Yes, you can. You can have any kind of business. If you have a real estate business, any kind of business, but if you have signed and you are enrolled with a merchant account, then we would not recommend you doing the program. Okay. I think we've addressed that a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions that we didn't get to?
Looks like we got most of them. I mean, a lot of them are repeat. And just so everybody knows, we are recording this. This will be sent to each and every single person that registered. I know we hit our cap today at 100, but the beauty is we record it. So if you registered, but you couldn't get in the beginning and you joined late, you'll get a copy of the recording, and then you can basically kind of walk through it. Just make sure you write down the phone number. So Zandri's phone number is 702-281-9838 if you're interested, and then just make sure you text your email address so that they can send you the welcome email and give you all that information. So that's one thing. And then Rob's number was 801-668-4749. 4749. You can text Rob if you're interested in getting the credit repair or getting any of those things. I didn't know you can get rid of school loans. That's a big one. I had no idea. I learned something new every day. And to what Jerry's doing, Jerry, when you were talking, I decided to draw Speedy Gonzalez because I've never heard somebody make that much of an effort to call everybody back in 2 days. So I penciled in some Speedy in there, Speedy Gonzalez. So just had to have some fun there. And also I learned a lot. Sally was asking about, who pays the California LLC annual fee? Well, the question is the advertiser. So we already answered a lot of those. So I think we really got a lot of these questions out. I mean, there were some great questions, a lot of repeats, but a lot of great ones. A couple more look like they came in. Active LLC and other merchants accounts. I think you answered that. You just can't have other merchant accounts. You can have other active LLCs, right?
Yeah. A great question was somebody asked if Square was considered. Square
Yes.
is considered a merchant's account. Stripe, I don't know if anybody uses that, is not. PayPal is not. So if you have specific, like if you're getting down to those specifics, please, once again, my phone number is 561-644-3743. I'd be more than happy to, take any additional individual questions. I love what I do, and we love to help people, and it's awesome. So I have no problem getting back to you or answering any type of question that you have. And then I think
we are at the bottom. I didn't think that was ever going to happen.
What's that one?
No, I was just laughing because I didn't think we were going to get to the bottom of all the questions. Laughing.
Can I automatically withdraw $750 from LLC to personal account? Yeah. So what will happen is on the 15th to the 20th, the advertiser will say, hey, take distribution, and then you transfer it. Is typically, some of the advertisers handle it. They transfer it. It just depends on the advertiser. There's one question for Rob about student loans.
Yep.
I don't know anything about that. If I have a UPS box, do I need another one for this? Here's what I would say with that, because a lot of people say I already have a business or I have that. The advertiser's paying for this, and we want to set this footprint up completely separate, so there's no mingling of businesses. And listen, guys, you want to keep this clean, and so I would encourage, if I could see if you were, it was two of your businesses and you wanted to add your own, great. But this one, I would keep completely separate. The advertiser is going to pay for that UPS box. They're going to pay for the bank account. They're going to pay for the corporation. So it's just better and simpler from a tax standpoint. And because once again, we want to keep this very clean for you. Okay. Nice shirt, Chris. I do agree with that, by the way, 100%.
Oh, my cowboy shirt. Good old Levi's, man. I love this shirt.
I feel very shown up. I do have a reseller consultants. Anyway, I have.
Hey, I almost brought the cowboy hat too. I should have. That would have made this really fun.
All right. So I think that is it possible to make more than 750? I think we've answered that.
Yeah.
It's one campaign at a time.
One per household.
One per household. Okay. I mean, for the most part, I think we got to all those. Like I said, if anybody has any additional questions, reach out to me, 561-644-3743, or Zandre. She can help you as well. Okay.
Awesome. Well, I think that was great, Jerry and Rob. Thank you both. That was a lot of questions, probably the most we've ever had. So I was going to do a whole section on this. I had some time set aside to talk about what you do with the extra $750, but you know what? We're going to skip that because I think you all can figure out what to do with $750. I already just kind of drew it up here. Maybe some of you will consider putting some of that $750 into your banking policy. One of the reasons why I initially loved this idea, I was thinking if I can help everybody make $750, I can basically help everybody get their banking policies started, maybe a second policy. So that was my big ask, is if you do set this up, don't forget what we do at the Money Multiplier with the banking policies. That's another thing. And to Jerry, the art there, Speedy Gonzalez, he is going to call or attempt to call each and every single one of you or reach out to all of you in the next few days, even if he's got to work the weekend. So that deserved that picture drawn. And with that being said, let me just wrap on this, folks. You know, I always love giving. I think it's one of the greatest things, the Zig Ziglar quote, if you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. So I want to give some more stuff. I got a ton of emails for the Quick Start Guide. So if any of you are interested in the Quick Start Guide, just send me an email to Chris@themoney-multiplier. In the memo, don't write anything else, just put Quick Start and I'll email that. If you are already on the list and you're one of the members getting the newsletter, there's no cost for it. But if you want to get the newsletter every single month, just, again, same thing, send me an email, Chris@themoney-multiplier. That's how you spell the money. Well, you can't really see it anymore, but you can figure out how to spell multiplier. Chris at the Money Multiplier, and just in the memo, right? Newsletter, we'll get you enrolled. And then one of the coolest things that we just did, we're finishing it up just now, is I've got a magazine now. So this magazine's got, it's like 20 some pages long, but it tells the story of, you know, why I skateboard, my snowboarding dream. Talks about like what it was like to be a pro snowboarder with the fear and everything we had to do. Talks about the case studies that we're doing. I mean, it just goes on and on. Talks about how I got all the money back, the different people I associate with, all the vehicles that I've gotten the money back using the Money Multiplier, and on and on. We got lots of cool stuff, testimonials. If you are interested in the magazine, send me an email and write magazine, and I'll send you the copy of the new magazine. But with that being said, folks, I really appreciate all your time. We went way over, but hey, had to get those questions out. Jerry, Rob, thank you both for your time. I appreciate this. And I know my audience and everybody on the Wealth Webinar series here today really appreciate $750 in these difficult times with COVID and this country being kind of turned upside down. This is like a blessing from above. So thank you both for what you do. Chris. And thank you all for taking your time out to joining us again for another Wealth Webinar. Pass this on, share this. When you get the recording tonight, if there's somebody you care about, a friend, a family, a loved one, a coworker, hell, somebody you don't even know that you think they could be helped with $750 a month, share. Again, that is the act of giving. You have to give, and the best way to give is to share your knowledge, share what you know about. You are here. You know about this, but the people that you love do not. So share this with them, and we will talk to everybody.